Hey guys, I know a lot of you watch my channel because you've got the itch and you're looking to make your next knife purchase, which I totally get because I'm also a knife guy. So I invite you to open the description of the video you're watching right now and click here on my Amazon store where I've compiled some of my very favorites. As you can see, my most recommended knives and my favorite budget knives are right at the top, but there's also categories like knife maintenance, pocket clips, knife storage and display, and then a whole bunch of knives by popular brands. There's something down here for everybody, so make sure you take a look. Thanks. What's going on, YouTube? Metal Complex here, and welcome to episode 43 of the Knife Guy. We're coming up on 50. I gotta do something, I gotta think of something special for 50. If you are new to my channel, or you're new to this series, or you just came out of some weird corner of the internet and you have no idea where you are, I am a knife guy, knife enthusiast, knife collector, knife user, knife enjoyer of many sorts. We are all knife guys and gals in this world. This knife world, and we all have our own unique paths that we've gone down and developed our own tastes and had our own experiences, but oftentimes our paths intersect and we experience a lot of the same things, which is what this Sunday series is all about. I like to discuss the things that I think we all collectively experience or at least think about, and I like to dig into them and get philosophical and listen to myself talk. But yeah, I like to lay out a bunch of knives that are either mine or some of my generous viewers, or knives that have just been sent to me for review, and then I like to pick them up and flip them and just sort of talk about this stuff. So you guys know, the usual drill. If you'd like to support this channel, I do have Patreon. You can get your hands on stickers and gain access to exclusive content by joining my Patreon. There's a link down in the description. The support would mean the world to me. This channel does get very expensive at 2 uploads a day, roughly. So if you'd like to, that would be great. Anyways, what are we talking about today? Okay, so in light of recent happenings, there's a lot of there's a lot of confusion, and there's some panic, and there's a little bit of chaos in the world right now. I think a little bit of it is warranted. I think worry is warranted. I think panic is not. I think all information has some truth to it, and is a lot of inflated huff and puff. And I think different people do different things with the information that they get from different sources. I am not a person to take anything as absolute, but I do heed part of every warning. Does that make sense? I think you guys know what I'm talking about. So let me transition into this. This is going to be a different type of episode. It's going to be a philosophical what if, and that's all it's going to be. I know that there are people who are survival enthusiasts. I know that there are people who are watching this channel and watching this episode right now. I know there are probably a few people who are conspiracy theorists. I know that there are people who are, wanting to tell everybody on the internet to repent, the end is nigh. I'm going to tell you guys this. Again, this is going to be a philosophical what if episode. I am not intentionally trying to invite that type of discussion. So I normally don't do this, but if any of that stuff starts popping up in the comment section, I'm going to remove it, because that's not what we're doing. We're talking, it's about knives. That's what this is about. It's about nothing more than that. I don't like dumpster fires in my comment section, and I actually have an episode of the Knife Guy about dumpster fires, so you can check that out before you leave a comment like that. So just, to be fair to everybody, I'm just letting you know, don't do that. That's not what it's about. This is a philosophical what if. No matter who you are, whether you're somebody who's, the type to get hyped up and worried when things like this happen, because it's happened before. In fact, throughout history, the end of the world and, epidemics and, chaos, world-ending chaos has been predicted thousands of times over. And guess what? We're still here. So I'm going to tell you guys right now, I don't believe that this is going to be any sort of life-altering event. I do think that it's important that we take care to wash our hands and clean off surfaces, things like that. That's, of course, very important. But when stuff like this happens, I don't think any of us can help but think, what would I do if it got really serious, And to me, it was just sort of, in my mind, it was entertaining the thought, well, there's a lot of stuff that I do, but at some point, I'd have to consider all the tools that I would bring with me and for what purpose. I can theorize all I want on this channel. I can obsess over minute details like how thin something is behind the edge, how exotic a steel is, whether or not it's worth the money, blah, blah, blah. But geez, you know, when it comes down to it, talk about a circumstance where the value of the item literally goes out the window. Now, in a situation where I would need to prepare for a long period of time where I would not have access to the luxuries that I have access to right now, simple things, food, water, shelter, right? You gotta figure that stuff out, you know, based on what I've seen on TV, because I'm not a survivalist. And again, I'm not interested in hearing about proper this or that when it comes to surviving and why we need to be prepared. Nope, not interested. This is just a what if scenario, and we're focusing on the knives. Just one more time. But that being said, obviously something like this is not this is not a tool that I would bring with me in a circumstance like that, right? If I had to leave my home, I would, you know, like all of us, every single one of us, we would use the knowledge that we have, that we've gathered up to this point, to determine what tools would be of maximum benefit to us. And I can tell you that the value of the item, how expensive it was, will not be any sort of determining factor. It'll be the quality, sure. Quality sometimes corresponds directly with value. Yeah, value goes completely out the window. So, it's just funny to me, you know, it's not, I mean, it's not funny, but it is kind of, it's like, oh my gosh, my whole channel is dedicated to, you know, best bang for your buck and making sure it's the right thing for you based on your budget. But man, if it came down to the point where I had to use it and it really, you know, it's like, then I really have to apply this. It's like, okay, I'm trying to imagine everything that I could possibly need to do with the item, right? I'm not going to be concerned with voiding a warranty. Oh gosh. Well, if I need to use it as a shovel, I wonder if the manufacturer will take it back after the apocalypse is over. Probably not something you're going to consider, right? No, you're not. I mean, like, it's just going to, the object is going to have to function in a multitude of different scenarios, of which I can't, nobody, not a single person. I don't care, you know, how long you've been YouTube educating yourself on the art of survival. Because let's be honest, a lot of the self-proclaimed, you know, experts or elitists on survival are YouTube educated. Not that there's necessarily anything wrong with getting your information from YouTube. It's just, you got to be careful. You got to be careful with YouTube, right? Because, you know, it's like there's always there's a lot of times, especially with certain types of information, like there's an underlying sort of like we're trying to get something from you, and we're just sort of pandering. I don't know. I don't need to go down that road. But man, I'm already getting preachy. Oh my gosh, it's not even 8 minutes into this, and I'm already getting preachy. Let's get back on track. The item's just going to have to function in an inconceivable number of circumstances. What I started to say was, it doesn't matter who you are, how educated you are on the subject. You cannot predict every possible scenario and how every single tool is going to respond to that scenario. You can't. It's not possible. So you just have to, you got to give it your best guess, right? Now, you know, I'm trying to think this over. I mean, obviously there's a whole bunch of other stuff. What knife or knives I'm going to bring with me, or what tools would probably not be the first thing on my mind, right? The first thing I would probably be trying to get out quickly and safely, and maybe, I don't know, bring some water with, I don't know, you know. But I guess fast forward and it gets to the point where I'm like, okay, I definitely need to bring some, I'm going to have to bring some tools. I mean, there's a whole bunch of other stuff. I mean, obviously, if I got room for a hammer, great. If I got room for a pry bar, great. If I got room for some paracord, great, right? There's a lot of different tools and objects that sort of hybridize as one or both items, or both, or 3 or 4 items. I mean, there's a million, you know, not to discuss all that. When it comes down to knives, though, I think obviously, one of the things that I would have to bring with me, or I would feel like the first thing I'd reach for is probably some type of medium-sized fixed blade, right? Because fixed blades are incredibly durable, and especially like I mean, there are certain things that this knife is going to be better at than this knife, right? But they both cut. Something like this, probably not going to break it. I suppose could be used as a shovel, pry bar, you know, hammer if I really had to. So that's a no-brainer. But it weighs a pound. I don't know that I really care. It's just, it's a sharp object that's a tool. Could probably use it. But you might not be able to field sharpen it. Don't care. In a panicked moment, I mean, I'm trying to imagine just like grabbing my stuff and going. Gosh, I'd be lucky to even remember to bring it, right? I mean, it's not like in a situation like that, in a panic situation, you're going to have time to sort through everything. That's why you keep everything nicely sorted on your apocalypse wall, and you've got your apocalypse shelves, and you've got your 30-second window shelf, and you've got your minute window. No, nobody has that. Nobody does that. And even if you do, I'm telling you, it's still not going to be, I couldn't imagine it's what people think, right? So I guess something like that, if I had the time to think about it. This folding knife, like I said, you know, it just goes out the window. It's like, well, I suppose I'd love to say, you know, my Hinder would probably do pretty well if I had the time to think like, no, where did I put the tri-way pivot system? Because some of these apocalypse environments are going to be dirty and dusty. I might want phosphor bronze, but, you know, maybe to pass the time around the campfire, I'd want to put the bearings back in, you know, for fidget factor, right? I don't know why I'd need the nylon, but I might as well bring them with me. And just to keep them all sorted, I suppose I might as well bring the box and the tactical peanuts, and why not? The Sean LeMaster's card, right? No! Oh, this is a weird thing to think about, you know, but like you don't have time for that. So, I mean, just considering how I keep this in my box, I mean, I'd want to bring the Hinderer, but I'd also want to bring the Mora. I mean, maybe the M4 on the Benchmade Super Freak would be good. You know, I mean, the Victorinox Cadet is an obvious choice, just a lightweight item that's got multiple tools. I can see myself needing a can opener. I can see myself needing a flathead screwdriver. I don't know that I'd really need the nail file, but maybe the leather punch, you know? And maybe I would need a weapon. But then again, this could function as a weapon. All of these, any of these could function as a weapon, right? I don't know. I mean, in a situation like that, in a crazy, I mean, and again, like I'm sure a lot of people are like, what is he talking about? What's he implying is going to happen? I'm not implying anything's going to happen. I'm saying situations like this, whether you believe that we're in mortal peril, I don't. Just to clarify, I don't. I think we'll, you know, get through summer and everything will be just fine. And it'll be something like, hey, we got to make sure that we're prepared, and we're going to dump a bunch of money into some fortifications, and, you know, but we just got to be prepared next time. I don't think that anything bad's going to happen, but no matter who you are, it makes you think about stuff like this. It makes you think, gosh, what would I do? You know, what would I take? What would be appropriate? Would this be functional? Would my knowledge of value and materials and this, that. The funny thing is, and the truth is that I have basically zero field experience outside of just stuff that I do around the house. A little bit of camping, stuff I do around the house, stuff I cut at the office, and then the knife that I decide to bring outside with me when we are doing home projects. We in the backyard we built a dog house and an awning for the dogs. We built an awning off the back of the house. We poured concrete. We built a swing set for my kids. We built a fence that separates the dogs area and the kids area. And then we're going to have to redo our roof because I live in Kansas, and we always, every roof ever gets hailed out every, year. So that's what if you could imagine what the little things I'd use for my pocket knife for, which is in those settings, cutting straps, cutting bags of whatever open, maybe sometimes using the blade to like lift up a shingle, or, pull back part of the guttering and look behind something, or, little stuff. Nothing crazy. I'm not in the bush, right? Not batoning logs in half. I hope that I would never have to depend solely on a folding knife to baton firewood in between campsites while I was trying to survive the apocalypse, right? But if I did, I don't know. Gosh, I'd hope I'd know what I was doing, Something tells me that for a lot of people, it's basic human instinct to find a way to just make things work. And there isn't enough time or there isn't, you know, the ability to gather everything that you could possibly need, ideally, for every possible circumstance, and make everything as convenient and precision as possible in a setting like that. It's just not realistic. It's not something that's going to happen, you know? So it's like, yeah, I really do appreciate the fact that there are videos out there describing the absolute perfect knife for batoning firewood and the perfect technique, you know, and all that stuff. And it is beneficial for a lot of people who are just going out and camping and wanting to know, like, hey, I do a lot of this and I really need that one thing, you know. But assuming that, you know, every, you know, by having that knowledge and having that item is going to, you know, collectively make you prepared, that and a whole bunch of other items that are associated with other, you know, sources of information that say this is the best thing for this situation, that having all that information is going to benefit you if the time came, because the truth is you're just not going to have enough time to get every last little thing. That's the way I think of it anyway, right? So it probably just, I mean, this is such a weird episode. It would probably come down to just, you know, just if you made it out with just anything, a sharpened tool, a sharpened blade, you know, if I made it out with just this, it'd be like, well, there's going to be some stuff that I can't do with this, or that it's going to be really inconvenient to do with this. But you know what? If I had to eat soup with this thing, by God, I'd figure out a way to do it. You know, this is not a spoon, but if it has to be a spoon, then I'll make it be a spoon. Not really. You know, this isn't a shovel. I'll make it be a shovel, you know. Yeah. So ideally, you know, thinking about what I take with me, I would want, you know, I think this is very cliche. I would want a, large, powerful fixed blade. I would want probably a decently robust folding knife, and then a small multi-tool style knife, ideally. And that's hoping that all three of those things are, you know, that I've got the time to go get them and they're within reach, and I've got a place to put them. Because I would just I mean, like, that's knowing the way that I keep this table. Like, this guy is usually in the sheath, but maybe it's not. Maybe the sheath is kind of laying out, and then this guy's in the middle of the table. The XM18 is always in this, you know, my deal over here to the left, and then the slip joint is sometimes out on the table. It's sometimes in one of the drawers, and sometimes it's upstairs in my valet tray, you know. I don't know. It's because I'm not really thinking about, you know, what if the end of the world happened tomorrow? Well, you should be. The end of the world could happen at any time. I don't have time to think about that. I got other stuff, like my life and my family and all these other things that I don't want to sit around all the time thinking the world could end in this way tomorrow, the world could end in this way, you know, because then you're just wasting your entire life worried about whether or not something like that could happen. It probably is the truth. Here's the horrible, sad truth, and I hate thinking about this, but truthfully, our entire solar system could get wiped out by a gamma ray burst at any moment, and NASA is not prepared to tell us or warn us of if that is about to happen, or, you know, if it's something that we would even, it's something that could happen so quickly that nobody would have any warning, right? That could happen literally at any second. Seriously, that's not like, you know, that's not like, well, it's just an opinion. No, like, that's something that can happen. It's, you know, so it's like, I don't know. Do I really, you know, should I invest my time in work? No, I don't think so. I don't think people should do that. But I do think it's a good idea to have general knowledge, just, I suppose, enough common sense to, you know, have a tool within reach. Like I keep some basic tools out in I think I'm just like everybody. You got some tools hanging up in your garage. You got a tool bag with stuff that's always got, it's always equipped with things you might need. Multiple screwdriver heads, hammer, pry bar, level, some tin snips, pliers, a wrench, right? Socket set, all that stuff, right? Tools. And then you got your knives. And if you're like me, you probably keep a junk drawer knife in the kitchen, right? Everybody knows what that is. Junk drawer knife. Knife you don't care about, it's used for whatever. Hey, give me that knife. I got to open this bacon. Hey, give me that knife. I got to cut the top off of this the bottle of wine, there's a cork and I can't get it and I don't know where the corkscrew is, right? Junk drawer knife. It's usually something like this, right? And then you've got probably, I always keep a knife with me in the bedroom where I sleep. And then I keep the rest of my knives in what I call the dungeon. I feel like people are probably like that, right? And it's more so, it's not necessarily I'm worried about like having to defend myself in the middle of the night. I want to be able to just get my knife out of my valet tray and go, whatever knife I feel like I'm going to carry the next day, that's the one that's with me in the bedroom and it's in the valet tray. And then I just wake up and put it in my pocket. You know, I mean, obviously I have a routine. Don't just get up and walk out the door, you brush your teeth, take a shower, all that stuff. But, you know, you get your knife and go, right? So if I had to make a decision really quick, how would that go? Well, I'd have to think back to this episode and go, okay, I said I'd get the fixed blade, the hinder, and the little, multi-tool knife, right? And so I'd somehow in the chaos I'm assuming in this hypothetical scenario, we're trying to get stuff out of the vehicle, we're trying to get everybody in there, and you're trying to, do we need water? Do we need this? Do we need clothes? Do we need, yeah. And then like, as one of the last few thoughts, I'd be like, I gotta run downstairs and get my knives. And my wife would be like, what? And I'd be like, I gotta get my knives because I talked about it in this episode. Never mind, I'm gonna get my knives. It's hilarious. It's crazy to think about and say out loud. But yeah, I suppose it's the one thing, it's like I've said multiple times, it's the one type of scenario where my knowledge of how much value you're getting out of individual material goes totally out the window, right? Something like this, which is about a $15 knife, and something like this, which in its current configuration is a $600 knife, are pretty much both going to be used for the same stuff, right? And then this guy will probably, if I had to do prying, will probably be able to do more things, right? So in that situation, and now I'm inviting comments of, well, that's why it's crazy that anybody'd ever spend more money on a knife, because in a scenario like that, well, okay, there's, a lot of this. I'm acting like, it's silly for anybody to make comments like that, but the whole topic is like openly inviting stuff. So I don't know. I probably sounded super harsh at the beginning of this. Like I was like saying, I'm going to talk about this, but, if you bring up anything even remotely related to like a flare-up of end times, religious things, political, like any conspiracy theories associated with anything, that I'm just going to shut it down. I guess, I just really don't want, I know exactly what type of topic this is and exactly what I'm unintentionally inviting. And I want to just make a fun conversation of it. And I want to avoid, those flare-ups, because I don't want to draw that type of conversation to this channel. I just like talking about knives, and this is a what if scenario about knives. Okay, 23 minutes in. This is officially the weirdest episode of this I've done. I can tell you guys multiple times in the 43 episodes of this that I've done, I've gotten to the end of the episode and I've thought to myself, should I upload that? And then I feel like I feel like I have to, because this is about as real as it gets, the knife guy stuff. A lot of my uploads, in fact, almost all of my uploads, I have my thoughts in my head and I have my general structure, but there's no notes. I put the knife down, I just start talking, right? But I have like specific thoughts that I'm leading into. Knife guy stuff, I have the topic. That's it. I have the topic. I don't have any mental notes. I lay the knives down and I just let my mind roll. And so that's what happens. So this is, arguably, this is the realest, purest content that I can bring you guys, is this knife guy stuff. So, yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and upload this. Just please understand, this is all really just meant as entertainment. As preachy as I get sometimes, it's just meant as entertainment. It's also my opinion, and I don't know everything about everything. I have bias, and I have information that I think is accurate and inaccurate. But at the end of the day, I'm just as equipped and just as unequipped as everybody else in this world, right? I just talk a lot. That's me. Talk a lot. Okay, that's going to be pretty much it, guys. If you enjoyed this video or were entertained by it in any way, shape, or form, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. If you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on this Metal Complex logo right here and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great